Hey, Tony here. I'm out with Sherry and our dog Phoenix doing some foraging, and I wanted to share this with you. We've got a project in mind for this. This is pokeweed, and pokeweed does have some edible uses. However, the plant is toxic, so you have to go through this whole process to make it edible. You have to cook it for a certain period of time, throw the water out, rinse it out, do it again, throw it out. You have to do that 3 times. So I've never really cooked it. Other people have said that it has a taste similar to spinach. And during hard times down south, like the American Civil War, it became kind of popular along with chicory because they couldn't get other food. So Poke Salad Annie, the song Poke Salad Annie, comes from this plant. And poke salad comes from a French word, or 2 words, poke salat, S-A-L-A-T. And what that means is, well, the salat is salad. The first part is cooked or boiled. So boiled salad, cooked salad. So, but we're not using it for that. We're collecting these berries. Now, some people say that there's medicinal uses for the plant also, especially the berries. But there's a lot of back and forth on that, and I don't feel real comfortable with that. What Sherry and I want it for is because you can make a really cool dye that will dye things anywhere from pink to purple, but usually kind of a magenta color. And you see the berries get dark purple when they're ripe, and these can be crushed, and it goes through a whole process, and it's not a hard process, but you know, a little bit of work to make a dye. And this video is going to be part of others that will string together through the magic of our creator studio on the computer to show you how to do that. So, pokeweed, poke salat, poke salad, bunch of names like most things. There it is. There's more to come. Hey, Tony here with Sherry. We're back home with the pokeberries, and we've got a bunch of them in a box, so we can just discard the box. But you can see how, well, Sherry's got a purple shirt on too. It's her favorite color, so you know how dark they are. But she's got some vinyl gloves on because, as I mentioned before, pokeweed, pokeberries are toxic, and your skin can absorb the toxins, and it can make you sick. It kind of depends on the individual as to how much of a problem they have with that. Some people can get welts on their skin, and even blisters, chemical blisters on their skin. So I do advise, you know, some precaution when you're working with the stuff. But it can make a fantastic vegetable dye. So what we're going to be doing here is preparing the solution and getting the berries into the solution. The solution is going to be, and Sherry, if you could pour it in, set down the berries for now.
This is the vinegar.
And we're doing one. We've got a 5-gallon bucket that we can use for this, and later use for something that's not, you know, food, because of the toxins. So we're making a solution for 1 shirt. So it's 1 quart of vinegar, And the vinegar changes the pH level, the acid level, to help the dye in the pokeberries to stick. And 1 quart of just plain tap water. And then we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of alum. Alum is basically aluminum salt, but you can find it in the spice section because a lot of people use it for baking bread, getting things to rise, stuff like that also. So it doesn't have to be an exact amount, but you know, basically 1 heaping teaspoon straight into the solution. And then the berries are going to go into that. And the berries are going to have to sit for a few days while they kind of break down. And in between, we'll give them a bit of a mashing. And we're going for the mottled appearance on the t-shirt. And what I mean by that is if you leave the husks in, there'll be additional staining where the husk was at. Otherwise, you can strain it and just have straight dye. There's also a lot of other plants that you can use to dye in the same process there. Alum helps the dye stick to the shirt, but you can use red cabbage. And oh geez, there's so many green type things. Yellow onions will impart kind of a yellow color from the sulfur. So there's a lot of things like that. So she's getting the berries in there. I'm going to speed this up so we can get that done.
Wow, that you are on hold, you.
Make it look like you're done.
And
all right. Sherry and I have got the Pokeberry dye ready to go. We mix it up and we let it sit for about a week. And that just brings out all that beautiful color and the berries themselves. We're leaving the berries in because that will give the shirt kind of a mottled appearance. Where the berries are, it'll be a little bit darker. And we just kind of like that. But first things first, we have to prepare the shirt. Now Sherry picked out a shirt at Walmart. But you know, if you've got a shirt at home, you can use that. And you don't have to tie it up with rubber bands. Sherry wanted the tie-dye effect, and you don't have to use white, but you have to know that if it was a yellow shirt, the spots where the rubber bands are will still be yellow, but the rest of the shirt will be yellow combined with kind of a magenta color. So we have, yeah. So we have to prepare the shirt first, and we're gonna mix up a solution here, which is 1 quart of vinegar and 1 quart of water and 1 teaspoon of alum. And once again, you can find alum at the grocery store in the spice section. This is the alum here. It's McCormick's brand. And it's actually an aluminum salt that's used in baking and stuff a lot to help bread rise. But we're using it because it changes the chemical structure a little bit and allows the dye to adhere to the fabric. You want to use either all natural like cotton or wool, or with a slight blend, but not all like polyester, because some dyes will not stick to synthetic fibers. So we're going to get that mixed up, and we're going to get the t-shirt in there, and we're going to let that sit for 20 to 30 minutes, and that'll get that shirt kind of changing. So it kind of opens the fibers up and lets the dye in there and helps it stick. So we're going to let that sit in that solution, and we'll be right back to do some dyeing. Alright, the shirt's been sitting in the solution now for about 20 minutes. You need it in there for 20 to 30 minutes to help the dye adhere. But we want to rinse some of that solution out. So just a quick rinsing. Now where the rubber bands were at, not only will the dye have a hard time getting to where the rubber bands are at, if you got the rubber bands on there nice and tight, but the solution that helps the dye stick won't be on there as well either, so that prevents the dye from sticking to those. So we're just going to put it in into the bucket of the solution, and Sherry's you see that color, and Sherry's using gloves because once again pokeweed is toxic. It has to be prepared in a certain way to use it for food or medicine, to be safe about it. And some people react to that heavier than other people. So for some people it can cause some real problems, so she's wearing gloves to be on the safe side. Now we're going to let this sit in the dye solution for about an hour. Make sure that dye got in there and is permeating the fabric. And then we're going to pull it out and rinse it, and then we'll be able to show you how it looks. But you see that beautiful magenta color, and where the berries are, it'll be kind of a stain a darker purple. So we'll be right back to finish this baby up. All right, we let the shirt sit in the solution. Look at that color. It's a nice magenta kind of color. And now we want to rinse the berries and the juice out. You know, that the stuff that hasn't adhered to the fabric, to rinse all that extra out. Now, anytime you do any dyeing project, the first couple of times that you wash it, you should wash it by itself, because some of the dye hasn't come out yet. It'll take a couple of washings to get it out. And, well, obviously, you don't want to dye all the rest of your clothes. So, Sherry's going to rinse this out and then start taking the rubber bands out. Alrighty. Okay, now when you go to take the rubber bands out, you want to be careful about that so you don't damage the cloth that you're doing. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a shirt. It can be really any kind of cloth, pillow cloth, for example. And there's So you want to be careful doing that. She's still got her gloves on because there's still some of that dye in there. You can see it's gotten kind of a lighter color, but it should be real pretty anyway. So,
Hey, we just got doing soaking this for an hour in Pokeberry dye solution. It was a white t-shirt that we went out and got, and it turned out really pretty. It's got like lines and decorations in it, and it's like 3 different color magenta. And what we used was pokeberry berries, and they have some medicinal purpose uses with them. And if you prepare them right, the pokeberry leaves have edible properties, and they also have to be prepared just right. Otherwise, they're toxic and it could kill you. But there's a lot of projects that we do with some of the stuff that we get from. Now, I know Midwest Wild Edibles is not a project site. It's more like foraging with wild edibles and medicinals. But we just thought we'd share this, and that it would be good medicine to do a project together using some of the wild medicinal and edible that we foraged. So, and this is what